Mike Pendleton here with MMAsucker.com and super excited to talk to my next guest because I haven't seen him since his last fight. I haven't talked to him since his last fight, but I wanted to bring something up from his last fight. First and foremost, welcome back. Good to talk to you again, Dalton Rosta. Dalton, I was in South Dakota doing some behind the scenes work with another fighter the night before the fight. You were training, and I just want to credit you, man. The amount of intensity that you train with is it's out of this world. Like just seeing you in the training room, hitting pads, and the intensity in which you train and prepare for a fight. I've got to give you all the credit, man. It was crazy.
I appreciate it, man. Thank you.
Yeah. So obviously that fight did not go how you wanted it to, but right back to business. I know it's been a while. Kind of what has this time off been like for you?
Honestly, it's been boring. I, I've been wanting to get back in the ring ever since that happened, and obviously some stuff with the promotion with them being sold, and then I had an injury myself that prevented me from getting in a little bit sooner. But it's too long a layoff for me, man. I like to fight 3 to 4 times per year.
So would that mean that you try to be stacking at the end of this year? Or you just kind of play it smart, see how this one goes, and then plan out from there. Or are you trying to get as many as you can in by the end of this year?
Yeah, I mean, I'm focused on this fight for
Yeah.
sure, but I mean, regardless, I'd like to get 3 in this year. But with how little bit of shows that they're doing, they already did what 2 shows. It's going to be the third. Um, they only have 8 the whole entire year, so I doubt. I mean, unless I fight in September and then they fight me again in December, I doubt I'm going to be able to get 3 in. But that's hopeful thinking. Maybe I put on a good performance this time and go out there and have like a number one contender fight or something after this. Then I get a third one at this year, very beginning of next year. I don't know.
I think this is a fantastic fight. And on June 22nd, you'll be taking on Norbert Noveni Jr. He's undefeated. You've only got the one blemish on your record. To me, Dalton, this says just volumes of how the promotion values you and all that you've done so far in your young career. What do you make of Norbert as an opponent and as of this matchup?
Um, I mean, I think he's good. I think he's a good fighter. He has a awkward style. It causes issues for people. People aren't really ready for it whenever they step in there. They think like, okay, this guy just spams the 1-2. It's going to be easy to defend. And then they get in there, and then he covers the distance well, and it's probably just a different feeling whenever they get in there. The difference between me and them is I'm a much higher level fighter than they are, and at the end of the day, I've dealt with shit like this before, not this exact style, but very, very, very similar. And I know every fight's different, but don't get me wrong, Norbert is a good fighter, but I just think I'm levels and levels ahead of this kid everywhere. I think whenever I hit him, he's not going to want to be in there with me. I think when I'm pressuring him, he's going to be making mistakes. I think he might try to wrestle me. If he tries to wrestle me, he's going to get out wrestled. If he tries to grapple me, he's going to get out grappled. I don't see a place in this fight where this fight goes that he has an advantage, period.
Given your confidence coming into this fight, and like I said, I'm just speaking from a perspective of an outsider, and I think it's a fantastic fight. I think fans who don't see that must be blind because this is an amazing fight for the both of you. But is this the kind of challenge that you like? As you look to bounce back and get back in the win column, you're not just getting some random anybody. You're getting a very tough challenge in Norbert.
Yeah, for sure. I told somebody on an interview before this that they offered me Fabian Edwards for March. However, I was dealing with a bicep tendon tear and a subscapularis tear that had to get PRP and some different peptides and everything and stem cell injected on it to heal. And I was out for like 10 to 12 weeks. It was like 10 to 12 weeks before I could start training again. You know what I mean? And grappling was a little bit longer. So it was a pretty long recovery. And they hit me with the news and the offer about halfway through it. So I had to turn it down. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to fight in May. I was trying to fight in May. I was good to go for May. And the next fight card was June. And luckily, thankfully, they got me on this. But there was a lack of opponents. You look at the entire top 10, Musasi got released. Austin Manafort got cut. I'm pretty sure Anatoly Tokov got released. Fabian Edwards and Aaron Jeffrey fought each other in March. So both of them were off the table, even though I already got offered Fabian Edwards. Then Gregory Babin and Costello Vancinas fought in May, so that was off the table as well. And then I'm looking at the rest of it. I'm like, okay, you got Khalid Murtazaleev and Grant Neal, and then Grant Neal fought in either March or May, up a weight class too. He went back up to 205. So I'm like, okay, we got Khalid Murtazaleev, and then I'm looking at the rest of the roster, and I'm like, who's a tough fight? Who's somebody that can push me to, push myself in camp to get excited about the fight? And I'm like looking at the names, and I see Norbert. He's undefeated, and then I see like another undefeated kid, but he has like all like cans. He fought all cans. So I'm like, okay, that's probably not a tough fight. So I asked for Khalid Murtazaleev or Norbert Novenyi, and they said Khalid was hurt, so they got me Norbert Novenyi. Norbert said yes, so we got a fight on our hands now.
Well, I appreciate the map out. I appreciate you laying it out like that. With kind of that uncertainty, though, and I know it's one fight at a time, and you're focused on Norbert right now. But after this, would you chase, or not chase, but would you be open to the Costello or Fabian fight?
Fuck yeah, man! I would fight either of them. If they after this fight, if they were like, they told me September, you want to fight either, I'm saying yes immediately. That's actually my next targets. They offered me Fabian, I would have taken the fight had I not been injured. But they actually told me, they're like, all right, you sure you can't take this? They offered me like 2-3 days again later, 2 or 3 days later again. And we're like, are you sure you can't take this? Because if you can't take this, we're going to offer it to Aaron Jeffrey. So I was like, yeah, I appreciate the gesture, but I'm like completely handicapped right now. You know what I mean? Even if I'm good to go come fight time, I'm not going to have even 2-3 weeks worth of like healthy full training camp, because I'm going to be starting off the training camp without one of my shoulders. You know what I mean? And not being able to box, not being able to grapple. So I'm going to be working around an injury the entire time. It's not a smart thing to do. So I turned it down.
Yeah, kind of need the shoulders to be an all-around martial artist, no matter in what aspect in which you're training. And
100%. I couldn't wrestle. I couldn't grapple, nothing at all. And anytime I would like throw a punch, I couldn't even throw it. I couldn't extend it the whole way. It would get to here, it would start hurting. And then whenever I would turn it over, like you're supposed to turn over a punch, thumb down, fucking excruciating pain. I couldn't reach it above my head. I couldn't reach it. It was hard. The day after I did it, I couldn't even brush my teeth, man. I had to start brushing my teeth with my left hand, wearing a sling, got a shoulder brace, physical therapy, stem cell, PRP, peptides, steroid injections, everything, the whole 9 yards, bro.
I can't even believe I'm never complaining about not feeling right ever again after hearing something like that. But that's the life of a fighter, way different from my life, just sitting here in front of a microphone. But man, you don't seem deterred or anything, just from the last fight. How do you maintain just your focus, your confidence, and you don't let one fight define you?
Because I know I had an off night. I'm not the type to make excuses, and I'm not going to. But there's a lot of fighters out there that they just get beat and they look for an excuse right away. I had an off night. He was a better man that night. I've come to terms with that. I'm not going to sit here and make excuses. There's plenty I can make, but I'm not in the business of doing that. And I'm just going to move forward. I know I was a better fighter. It wasn't my night. I fought incorrectly. I didn't listen to my coaches. I got tired. I don't get tired in that fight. I think it's a clean sweep for me. If you look at the first round, I was putting it on him, and then slowly faded after that. You know what I mean? Cardio's and conditioning is a part of the sport. For whatever reason, I got tired. I can guarantee you it wasn't because of the way I worked during my fight camp. I was in shape. My resting heart rate was like 33 going into that fight. I felt great. My sparring rounds were great. Wasn't getting getting tired. I don't know what was off during that fight. I fought at higher paces than that. I trained at higher paces than that. It is what it is, man. At the end of the day, I know I'm better fighter than him. If we fight 9 more times, I beat him all 9 times. He beat me the 1 out of 10 times he'll ever beat me, and he beat me the only way he could beat me. I played into his game. I had the ego thinking that I could have beat him at his own game. I was wrong about that. I thought I could beat him on my worst day. I was wrong about that. You know what I mean? Sometimes you're wrong. But one thing I know for sure is I'm a better fighter. You look at both of our styles. You look at the development fight to fight from each of us. One of us is capable of being a champion. One is not. One is always going to be right there, but can't break through. The other one, capable, potential, ability, everything right now. And that person's me. I don't think it needs to be said, but you know how people are.
I do know how people are. Don't, but I just don't want to get put into that category of how people can be. Like I said, I applaud you for that mindset, man. I applaud you for this matchup. It's going down in Dublin, Ireland on June 22nd. I've always said that Bellator Dublin events are my favorite events of the year. Doesn't matter promotion, country, place. I don't care. Bellator Dublin is the best. Have you thought about what that crowd's going to be like? I know you're not fighting an Irishman, but and you're you're representing America, but I think the crowd's going to be going crazy for this fight between you two.
Yeah, I hope so, man. Whenever I fought in Phoenix, Arizona, the crowd was pretty crazy too. But I heard this is going to be much, much, much more than that, and I can't wait, man. Uh, I like electric crowds. I've been there for like WWE events, AEW events, football crowds, everything else. There's no atmosphere like that whenever the fans get into it. And apparently, Dublin knows how to get into fights like no other country. So I'm looking forward to it, man.
To me, I think that gets me even more excited knowing just the pace and just your style of fighting. I think that matched with a crazy crowd behind you, I think it brings for high intensity in that fight. Just a couple more, and I appreciate you giving me the time today. Moving forward, obviously business and what have you between Bellator and PFL, that kind of kept things in the weights and obviously your injury. But how focused are you on kind of maintaining as part of the Bellator roster, or in 2025, are you looking at possibly hoping they open up 185 for PFL or possibly a weight change class?
Man, I don't know. Like I said, right now I'm just focused on this fight coming up. I don't want to comment on any of that. I'm happy where I'm at right now, and I'm happy with this fight, and we'll go from there after this. But right now, I'm just focused on him. I don't want to speculate anything else. I just want to focus on Norbert Noveni. I don't want to get my mind anywhere else like I did last fight. I was looking past Aaron Jeffrey. Big mistake. This time, not doing it again.
And what is that win? Let's get back to that. Because I'm not going to push on that because that's not who I am. You should know that. What does a win over Norbert do just not only to your record, but your message to the company, your resume, everything?
I think I'm the best 85 pounder on the roster and overall. And I think a win right now doesn't cement that, but it'll open their eyes saying like, okay, yeah, this guy maybe he just did have one bad off or one bad night, one off night. And that's exactly what it is. And I'm coming back. This is a comeback tour.
I can't wait. Let's start real quick before I let you go. Talk about your gym and just, the fighters in the gym, your training partners, your coaches. Like I said, I had a very, very unique and rare opportunity to kind of just be around as being a part of another fighter and just sharing the room with you. And you can just tell the difference. There's levels to this game. You always hear that. But just how monumental is your coaching staff, your training partners to all that you do?
I think I wouldn't be here without them. You know what I mean? Like the coaching is as high level as it gets. The atmosphere in the gym, uh, the facilities, everything's great about the gym. But also, have the best middleweight currently in Bellator. A lot of people believe in the world with Johnny Eblin, and he's been sparring with me the past 2-3 weeks leading up to this fight, and we've been going to wars, man. We've been having wars in the cage. Wrestling rounds and everything too, but we've been going at it and sparring. And, I think that's super beneficial. Just somebody as good as he is to be able to sit there and just leave it all in the cage at practice and go to war and constantly be trying, like, you have to be on top of your shit, both of you, to win a round. You know what I mean? And every single round is like that. And then you got other guys where when I'm not sparring with him, Ikram Aliskerov, Magomed Umutov, Magomed Karamov, you got up and comers, that 85 pounders, 205 pounders that people don't know about yet that are really good fighters. And bro, every round in that gym is very, very tough. And if it wasn't for that, I don't think I would have evolved into the fighter that I am today. If I would have stayed back in Pittsburgh, who knows where I'd be at right now.
And speaking of that, just the hard training, days because of the training partners around you, that coincides with making not only Dalton Rosta the fighter, but Dalton Rosta the man. Would you agree with that? That because everyone takes it so serious, because everyone is so on top of their game, that when the timer's up and the gloves come off and practices and training is over for the day, you just know you become a better person because of those hard training sessions, because it's such a premier gym and team that you have.
Yeah, a little bit. I try to separate that from like my actual real life. I used to be so like focused on everything just being fighting to where like I would get burnt out a little bit. And like I'd still be training hard, but like you don't have the extra oomph that you need. You're zapped a little bit. So I've learned to disassociate myself with fighting in the gym when I'm outside, but when I'm resting in between practices, when I'm doing a morning session, I come home, I try to get my mind off fighting completely. So then whenever I go back in at nighttime, boom, I'm ready to go again. I'm excited about it.
Well, I credit you for that. I credit you for this fight. Dalton Rosta, I'm so happy to talk to you again, man. I was thrilled to be, there in the building. I know the fight did not go your way, but like I said, there's not often times where I'm kind of taken aback, but seeing you just warm up and the night before a fight, it's one of those moments I won't forget in doing the stuff that I do. So thank you for just being yourself. It really opened my eyes into unique, circumstance behind the scenes. So I'm happy you're back. June 22nd, Dublin, Ireland against Norbert Noveni Jr. Dalton Rosta, you'll be taking on Norbert, and people can find it on HBO Max streaming service now, Max streaming service. Thank you so much for the time, and can't wait to see you back in there.
I appreciate it, man. Thank you so much. Have a good one.